marketing and sales holding on to that baton at the same time between today, Friday, and Tuesday and 10, and all the things that could come up for you and other prospects, that's where this concept and execution of the relay is so important, so that we're both taking responsibility into it.
Hey everyone, this is Mark DeGrasse, the president of Digital Marketer, and this is the podcast that keeps you updated on everything you need to know when it comes to digital marketing, from the platforms you be focused on to the kinds of tactics and tools that are working today. Today, our guest is Neal Tricarico, the co-founder of Sales Magic and actually former executive here at Digital Marketer, as well as Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra. So he's led all of those teams to record-breaking results. So I thought we could bring him on and kind of talk about one of the sticking points that we really have as marketers, which is friction between the marketing and sales teams, which Neal is going to provide us with an awesome answer and some tips to solve your problem with the same issue. So welcome, Neal.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. It's glad to be back. Glad to be back on the podcast with you.
Glad to have you. You know, we got to hang out a few weeks ago in San Diego. That was awesome. And I thought, hey, you know, why not bring you back on the show and start talking about some of these issues that, you know, just the regular issues that you face as a marketer. And I think that whole sales connection is always an issue because, you know, as marketers, we're like, hey, we're going to get you all the traffic, get you all the leads. But, you know, for companies that are selling something, especially higher priced items, it all comes down to how do you pass that baton off to, you know, the sales team.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad to connect about that. And even looking at our screen with the two of us, it's like, this is that confluence, right? The best possible results any organization can create is that confluence between marketing and sales. But oftentimes what happens is those two organizations are siloed, they're separated, and each individual is focused on their own results and then their own outcomes. They've done their jobs. Marketing's driven leads, sales has made sales, and that's fine when everything works out well. But what happens when it's not working out well? Now we're pointing fingers at each other.
Oh yeah, and that's it's an easy thing to do because you'd be like, well, wasn't my fault. I did my job. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter whose job it is, because if the company's not doing well, it's everybody's fault as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. I agree with you. That's right. That speaks to our topic today, the importance of a team.
Awesome. So let's just kind of start with maybe, you know, a story behind like how you kind of saw this in a past situation and kind of the steps that allowed you to, you know, have that baton passed off.
Yeah. So great. You know, so inevitably, whether it's been in my own career as a sales professional, or it's been in any of these executive sales leadership roles, whether it was for Tony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, or when we work together, you know, with Ryan at Digital Marketer, there tends to be this disconnect between marketing and sales. And for marketing and sales to fully realize their results, it's just like you said, Mark, it's got to be a team. And so what we came to realize, and I think the best example we can share with folks is what we created at Digital Marketer was the idea or concept, we named it, of building a relay team together. So not marketing and sales as individual competitors or runners or performers, but marketing and sales together in a relay race. And the ultimate service, the finish line, if you will, is serving the end user or the client.
Here. Well, and I love, you know, customer-focused decisions because a lot of times it is very easy to just get into the product that you're selling or the objectives that you want to achieve, and then you completely forget that the entire purpose is really to help your customers.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, with that, shall I dive into kind of what we experienced?
Yeah. Just kind of give a, you know, top-down view of the situation, and then kind of how you corrected the situation and some steps that people might be able to apply to go through the same process.
That's great. So what we found was, you know, when I came in, I mean, Digital Marketer is a behemoth in terms of generating results for its clients and customers for many, many years. Its track record speaks for itself. And so, you know, I was brought in to build out a team that was going to sell, and did end up successfully selling high ticket items. But what we found was we hit a threshold where our success was limited to the individual's team's performance, marketing's ability to drive leads, sales ability to enroll or close those leads. And only when we realized a plateau or a threshold did we start to understand that we identified the problem was that marketing and sales were siloed. So what would happen is marketing would have a scorecard. You're all familiar with the scorecard of the things that it needed to do to generate leads. And then those leads would go over the proverbial fence to sales. And then, there would either be results or there wouldn't be results. When there were results, no problem. If there weren't results, what happened? Marketing would look to sales and say, hey, you had these leads. What happened to these leads? And sales would look to marketing and say, well, I don't know. Some of those weren't leads, right? So the first thing that I identified was that we needed to share and collaborate around something we could all get our heads around. And that was the solution of the relay race again. So if you think about a relay race, let's just take the 4x100. It's 4 teammates, 4 competitors, if you will, that are running together. But the race isn't won on any one of those individuals' ability to win their leg. The race is won and lost in the effective optimization of the handoff. So if there's an effective handoff, that is going to have more to do than anything for the success of winning that race. That race is won and lost in that handoff. But notice in the moment of the handoff, what's happening here in that moment? There's 2 hands on it, right? They're not throwing the baton over the fence, right? They're stick and they're holding it. So in that moment, we're both responsible for the passing of the baton. So in our world, in the marketing and sales world, that baton is the prospect and the race is that handoff to get them to be a client.
Yeah. I love the analogy too, because it's, if you do look at, track racing or relay racing, and you'll see some people drop it, other people get the pace wrong and they're running at different paces, or one's too fast, and that could be the sales team is going off before the marketing team actually hands it off. And it all of it leads to problems and, lost ground. So I think that's an excellent way to phrase it. So why don't we just get into what does that mean? Because I think for, this is sales and marketers, we're all about automation too. And so it's like, well, I got the lead, press the button, not my problem anymore. Is that the right way to do it or the wrong way?
Well, the right way to do it, and is exemplified by the growth scorecards that, digital marketers become so well known for. And the right way to do that is to make sure at each step of the relay race. So again, you have a prospect in their baton, right? So what is happening with marketing that moves them through, right? So how do we define a marketing qualified lead? How do we define a sales qualified lead? And, I'm not your best expert on defining the marketing qualified lead, but marketing is responsible sort of for that leg of the race, whatever is being done in terms of generating leads, all the strategies that you teach to generate leads. But once that lead converts from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead, instead of tossing the baton over the fence, now you get it over to sales, whether that's a sales development rep or an actual account executive, a sales professional. And again, in that moment that they're both holding on to it, instead of what was happening in the past, marketing would say, okay, now they're on the calendar, that's a lead. And then sales would say, well, it's not really actually a lead until they complete the call. In this case, I will go leg by leg, but in this case, the first aspect is to say, well, now wait a minute, we're both holding on to it. And we both need and are committed to that prospect showing. So what is marketing doing with their hand on the baton to ensure the prospect shows for the strategy session or sales call? So those may be reminders or sending and adding pieces of value. But one of the things we implemented on the sales end, instead of just waiting till Tuesday at 10 a.m. and saying the call showed or didn't, was to have the professional each night send out a video text, right? So they'd look at their calendar for tomorrow and they would literally take their phones and introduce themselves. Hey, Mark, it's Neal from Digital Marketer. I see we're on at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Listen, my commitment to you is this is going to be the best call you've had all year to grow your marketing results. Now, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be on time and be present. My request of you is that you show up on time as well, ready to go, so that we can meet that standard together. In the event you can't make it, please drop me a text below and reschedule. Otherwise, barring an emergency, I'll see you there. So now you've both participated in your own rescue, if you will, or in increasing the likelihood of that show. So for that first handoff being the show, now we've got collaboration on that before it goes, now the sales rep has it. So I'll pause there for a moment.
Oh man, that's a fantastic tip, because it's something that's so easy, like, especially if you script it and you practice it a few times, like you can spit that out. You can spit out 10 of those in 5 minutes or something.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And nobody does this, by the way, because I have a lot of salespeople pitching me all the time. And even if I do say, hey, here's an appointment, like I think I may have gotten something like that maybe like once in the last 2 years. And for me, a lot of times I'm looking at that calendar being like, oh, it's a sales call. I know I should do it, but maybe you won't show up. Maybe it's okay if I don't show up. And he didn't send me an email, so maybe you already forgot about it. And then you start to, kind of justify you flaking out before it actually happened. But that would stop me right there.
That would, right?
Hey everyone, I want to quickly interrupt the podcast for a special announcement. If you're listening to this podcast because you want to become a better marketer, then I want to share with you what I believe to be the most comprehensive digital marketing program on the market today. It's called the Digital Marketing Mastery Certification. You'll learn to leverage the tools and channels to predictably and profitably drive awareness, leads, sales, and referrals. Everything you need to know to become a true master of digital marketing. We'll take an in-depth look at the core digital marketing competencies, including content, email, social media, community, digital advertising, data and optimization, and more. After earning your digital marketing strategy certificate, you'll have the tools to effectively reach your target audience through a full scope marketing strategy. Get started today at digitalmarketer.com/strategy-cert.
I think there's an important distinction in that as well for our listeners and our viewers, is whether there's marketing is setting the call, or there's some in between where there's an appointment setter. So marketing drives the baton to an appointment setter, and then they're doing certain things to qualify and set the appointment, or marketing is setting the call straight to the professional. What you've just described there is the most important moment for the prospect, because once they've committed to that day and time, in essence, that's a commitment in that moment. But what happens is anything that happens between now and Tuesday at 10 a.m. that is perceived by the prospect to be of greater importance than showing up for that call at 10 will impact their showing for that call at 10. Does that make sense? So marketing and sales holding on to that baton at the same time between today, Friday, and Tuesday at 10, and all the things that could come up for you and other prospects, that's where this concept and execution of the relay is so important, so that we're both taking responsibility into it.
I love that. Yeah, and it's totally true too, because I'll say yes and I'll know, like, I committed to this, of course I'm going to go, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you're right. If anything comes up that's more important, then I'll be like, okay, well, that's just a sales call. If he's a good salesman, he'll hit me up. And if he's not, then we're done here. So no, I think that's a huge tip, and I'm sure it's, obviously it's very successful.
Well, cool. I appreciate that. So then we've got the next leg of the race, right? So if marketing's the first leg and SDR is the second leg, and then account professional or marketing to account professional, it's either the second or third leg. But now the sales professional is holding the baton exclusively themselves, right? So what's happening on this call? What's important to understand for the sales professionals is what I call the 10-pack, right? There's a 10-pack of opportunities on any given day, any given strategy session. This occurs naturally. I've seen it over the course of 2 decades. But what I'm saying here is sales professional gets on with prospect, and there's a 10-pack of leads. Lead type 9 or 10, it's like a lay down, like my 12-year-old daughter back here could take the credit card, or maybe even her little doggy down there. It's a layup. So you should be looking over to marketing and saying, gosh, thank you so much. That was an easy one, right? Then on the other end of the spectrums, you got the 1 or 2. You're like, how did this person wind up in my calendar, right? So you ought to also be looking at marketing and thanking them, because for every 9 and 10, there's going to be a 1 and 2. But the sales rep's real impact now on that call is that 6 in between, right? Their ability to influence and impact the prospect to make a buying decision. When they're able to make that buying decision, now you have the handoff to fulfillment, whether that's some course or certification, something that's happening online, to a coaching program or a consulting, that fulfillment piece, happy to explore that handoff as well. I just wanted to, check in on now we've talked a bit about the sales professional's responsibility. It is for them to influence, not the laydowns, because those are easy, and not the DQs because they're DQ'd, but how are you going to move a 3 to enrollment? How are you going to move an 8 to enrollment? That's where their talent and strengths come in.
I love that. Well, and I love how you describe the different types of leads, because I think for marketers, you have the lead metric, like, okay, well, we generated some leads, like, what the heck, that's not our fault. But, understanding that there's different levels, quality levels of the lead is really important. As marketers, it's easy to forget that, to just be like, wipe your hands off it. I'm good, but really the level and how good they are or not good they are, or maybe the percentage of each type, because there are some leads that you're just like, this seems like a perfect lead. This person is perfect in all the different check items we have on our customer avatar canvas, hits all of them. And sometimes it just doesn't matter, because that could be a 3 or 2 or a 1. And as the marketer, you don't know that. So it's important for marketers just to be understanding that you can't even understand what the level is until sales talks to them. So love that, and gives a much better idea of the role of both marketing and sales in terms of the quality of the leads.
Well, and that's such an important distinction, right? Because then you've got some maybe rare instances where somebody's filling out an application or a form or saying things that don't quite prove it out on it. But again, what a relay team will do is meet frequently and break down the tape, right? What was happening on the canvas? Do we need to adjust anything? Or maybe the prospect wasn't truthful on it, or what's happening on the sales call? Everything on the canvas was right, but maybe we didn't ask the best possible questions to keep in line where our value really actually lives. Or as we turn and look to fulfillment, we've got to understand, is there alignment between what we're really actually delivering on, what's been sold, and what's been marketed, right? So it's not just running a relay race, but it's having team meetings, right? I forget what we called it. Do you remember what we called it? I'm blocking on it now, but it was
the growth team meetings, or
no? Well, there was that one too, but this was just like marketing and sales and fulfillment. But as I'm getting at that next handoff, right now, you've got the handoff if you have an enrollment, or when you have an enrollment, sales has the baton. They're handing it off to fulfillment. Now, if that's an online course, or program or certification, everything that goes into the CRM or whatever's happened to set that person up to realize the success of the certification or the course. Or if it's going to coaching or a mastermind or an accelerator, and maybe there's some human fulfillment component, they're getting on an intake call, they're working with a coach. It's so important that the sales rep holds themselves to the standard of getting all the information that they need to not result in a closed sale, but to result in a successful enrollment. So now we're at the point where sales has an enrollment that they're handing off to fulfillment. And so the two hands here are that fulfillment has been really clear with sales and marketing and the entire organization, everything that they need to set up the client for success. The sales rep clearly understands all the components of a successful enrollment. They've executed on it. They've entered it into the system, not taking notes in a CRM for notes, but so that they're set up. I mean, how many times have you enrolled for a program or a service and you get on your intake call and someone's like, okay, tell me about yourself. What's your business? Why are you here? What are you trying to achieve? And you're like, well, that was the whole process for the enrollment. It actually breaks rapport. But if the fulfillment person can start with the handoff of that established rapport and take them here, now we can focus not on what they bought, the features and benefits, but how is their participation in the program, the certification, or their mastermind going to achieve the results that they articulated in the sales call?
Oh man, that's a huge tip too, because I think, as humans, we're subconsciously building, kind of our vision of an organization or a person or a product, and we don't even realize we're doing it. But if you set up the expectation and that's been supported, say through 2 departments going from marketing to sales, and then it just falls apart with fulfillment, there's nothing more jarring or disappointing, or I don't know, it spikes your like warning signs. It's like a red flag, like, oh my God, I just spent a lot of money and now I'm getting questioned by somebody who I thought I already established a relationship with this company. And now I'm talking to the person who's going to be fulfilling it, and they have no idea who I am. And everybody up till this point made me feel special. And this person doesn't give a crap, or that's my perception of it. So now I'm like, okay, well, now the whole company's a lie. Like, and everybody I talked to so far is a liar. And then you just get very wary and suspicious.
Very wary, right? And that's where you have buyer's remorse, or worse yet, a refund, right? A request for refund. But the challenge was it that the fulfillment lead or human being wasn't prepared, or was it that they didn't get what they were supposed to get from the sales rep to set that up for success? So when you talk about automations and things like that, that's where, Keenan and others were so involved to make sure that when we ran successful sales calls, that information was captured, went into the system to set the person up for success. Because we don't want to set up our teammates to look like they're unprepared or they don't know what they're doing, which you've just described. That's a terrible teammate. That's akin to just like marketing throwing the baton over the fence. Sales reps like, oh, I'm done. I got a sale. Throw it over. And now you have to pick up the baton off the ground and start fresh. Not cool.
No, well, and it's, like I said, and I say this all the time, but retention is the name of the game moving forward for business. It has nothing to do with, it's always has to do with acquisition, but I think for, the last 10, 15 years or so, it's just been so easy. Just get the sale. You get the sale. It's fine. Whatever happens to them, that's fine. There's more people. We'll get the sale the next time if you don't get it this time. But I think how things are moving and how, businesses are cutting back and how everybody's kind of contracting a little bit. Now the expectation is going to be no. Well, number one, if I think that I made a bad decision with money, I'm getting that money back. And that sounds crazy because you think that every situation is that. And it's like, no, there's situations where you're like, you're going to eat it just because it's too much work. It's too much work to even deal with this. So I'm not even going to try. That's going to end too. So now you're going to have people who are very guarded with their money and have an expectation that, hey, this is a big decision for me because I don't spend money, lightly anymore. And so you make me feel really good about this at every stage, especially the beginning, or I'm going to leave quickly and I'm not going to recommend you to anyone. So I love that whole process. Okay. So now we have marketing does a good job preparing the client. They have set those expectations really well, made the client feel special. They pass the baton off to sales, who has now been prepped with all the information that was found, and marketing understands that it might be different levels of leads. So their understanding of the salespeople's job, salespeople, do everything that you said that salespeople do, get them farther down the path, make sure you're catering to the different levels again, to make sure that you're getting those kind of mid-range iffy people, get them over the line. And now you pass it off to fulfillment, who has been prepared with all the data the marketing and sales collected in order to start them on the onboarding path that's going to make them, feel very secure about their decision.
Yep. Yeah. Now in that scenario, and a true enrollment has happened, the relay race has been won, and the prospect should have everything he or she needs to participate in their own rescue or the achievement of their own results. So whether, again, they're getting a certification, consuming an online course, or, actively participating in coaching or a mastermind. Now it's up to them. Now the team, the race, if you will, the relay has shifted from fulfillment to fulfillment and client in service of clients' most important results that were uncovered in the sales process.
No, that's fantastic. Well, I think we just solved sales with one podcast. That's all it takes.
And the biggest outcome of that is sales is a team effort. In too many cultures, sales is either, I can't name names here, but in some of the cultures I've been at, sales is the be all end all. They're celebrated and championed as the reason why they're clients, right? And that the marketing is just here to drive leads, and fulfillment is just here to fulfill. And in other organizations, like, digital marketer or marketing driven organizations, it's like the focus is marketing. If you've got a business that's, product or inventor heavy, it's fulfillment. But the truth is, the winning isn't something that any individual in one of those departments has done, or any of those individual departments have done. The winning occurs when that client achieves the results that they set out for themselves by making the investment with us. And that happens through a team effort. So sales aren't won or lost by marketing, sales, or fulfillment. The real winner or loser is the prospect. We have to come together as a team and understand the brand is enrolling the prospect to be a client through the relay race of marketing, sales, and fulfillment.
I love that. Well, and you just said brand. That was the only thing I was going to add, was that the entire process, this cohesive vision for the process, is branding. Because if you don't, then it's really just three departments and there's some people working together to, do a checklist and whatever. But the process and the execution of the brand image, that's what you just described. And I think it's genius. So everybody needs to do that. We'll definitely have you back on soon to actually talk about maybe some more of the specific steps and how to break down the process. But I think if anybody doesn't know how those three departments kind of fit together, you did an excellent job describing that, and the importance of making it happen, because a lot of people, like you said, it's like, oh, okay, well, marketers just think of like, oh, we got to get the leads. The leads are, if I don't do the marketing, then nothing can happen. And it's like, no, everybody needs to take a step back, understand that, no man is an island, and let's just work together and we'll all make money and the customers will be happy and we'll all move forward with our lives. So thank you, Neal. That was super helpful.
You're welcome. It's just be a good teammate, right? We're a team. We're on a relay race. Be a good teammate.
Love it. Now, somebody wants you to put together their sales team. How can they find out more?
Yeah, they can find out more. I'm really excited. As I shared with you in San Diego a few weeks ago, Keenan Shaw, my co-founder, and I have launched salesmagic.ai. All right. So salesmagic.ai, and that's magic with an IQ. So we'll probably put the link in there for you. But salesmagic.ai is a platform that we've built that's revolutionizing sales enablement for sustained business growth. So we are solving for and have created, imagine, a match platform where organizations can come and find their dream talent, their dream sales professionals. And at the same time, sales professionals can come and find their dream organization to work with. So a recruiting platform for businesses and a training platform for sales professionals who may need to close some gaps along the way to be placed at their dream position.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's, I'm so glad you guys did that because it's a big deal. Trying to find salespeople and form departments and everything is just so risky. And there's so much, potential turnover and cost and time and energy and all those different things. Where if they just come to you guys, hopefully they can find somebody much faster and better. And that will, have the same kind of methods and principles that you do, which I think is what everybody needs. So thank you for that. And I hope you guys are super successful.
Thank you. And the only other thing I'd offer, because the digital marketer clients are near and dear to my heart. I've stayed in touch with so many of you, and understanding marketing may be a little bit different for some of you. You might be your own salesperson. So you're like, I don't have a sales pro, or I don't need a sales pro. Just find me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer any questions for you and close some gaps. I appreciate everything you've built over there, Mark, and anything I can do to support your clients would be an honor for me.
No, that's fantastic. Well, I'll definitely send some people your way. And thank you for coming on. And we'll have to have you back soon, because I think, your understanding of marketing really lends itself to, making these connections between the two departments. And like I said, I think moving forward, every company is going to need to get really serious about the sales process, but then the connection between the fulfillment and how it all fits together into a cohesive system, which is pretty soon it's just going to be expected. And I think the tolerance for companies that aren't like this is going to drop to zero very soon. And it's good thing. Everybody's tired and they want it to be better.
Tired of being sold, for sure.
Exactly. So thanks again. We'll have you on soon. And everybody check out Neal on LinkedIn and his new brand website. And get help if you need it. And in the meantime, keep on listening to the podcast. All right, so be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when all of our new episodes release. Please share this with that friend who's clueless about digital marketing. And don't forget to visit digitalmarketer.com, where you can access all of our courses, certifications, and training programs. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.